Before we get started, just wanted to announce a couple of players just to make it that we agreed to terms with. We'll make those signings official once the players have signed their contracts and have passed their physicals. So as of today, Rashad Hill, Chad Beebe, Nick Vigil, and Patrick Peterson. As long as everything goes according to plan, we'll be having those official announcements coming to you shortly. But today, very excited to announce one of the guys that we targeted, and our big prize was getting Dalvin Tomlinson here. Not only is he a great football player, but he's even a better human being off the field. He was a 2020 Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the New York Giants. He was also a team captain. Since he's been drafted there in the second round, he has not missed a game, which is extremely important, not only telling you what type of player he is, but how hard he works to keep himself in great shape and how he takes care of his body, especially at the position he plays. I know Coach Zimmer will get into a later date how they're going to utilize him and all our guys on the defensive front, but I know we're trying to get the best possible players that we can at this time of year. And he, again, was the number one target we had. Just watching him on tape and knowing, because I scouted him down in Alabama, he plays with great leverage, has great strength at the point, excellent with his hands, does a great job getting off blocks, finding the ball, making plays all over the field in the run game. I think the thing that he doesn't get enough credit for is when you sit down there and actually break down the tape, how he still affects the quarterback, even though he may not have the Gotti sack numbers, but how he collapses the centers, how he collapses the guards to get the quarterback off the spot in the pocket, which can create a lot of pressure different ways. So with that, very excited to announce the official signing of Dalvin Tomlinson. And Dalvin, I'll kick it over to you. Welcome to Minnesota.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just want to give a special thanks to the coaching staff, the ownership for having me here with the Vikings, and also my agent getting the deal done and everything. And I just want to say pretty much thank you, and I'm honored to be a Minnesota Viking.
All right, everyone, we'll start taking questions. If you'd like to ask a question, we'll just go with the same system we have this offseason and put your name in the chat, and we'll get started with questions. Darren Wilson.
Dalvin, welcome to Minnesota. Just take us through how much of a whirlwind free agency was. I imagine many teams are reaching out. You probably had multiple offers. Just how much of a whirlwind was Monday for you?
It's a new process for me. Was just on my rookie contract last 4 years and everything. So, I was just taking it one day at a time. And, just happy I'm ended up here in Minnesota.
Matthew Collar.
Dalvin, I've heard a couple of times from people in New York that you were recruited by Harvard, before deciding to go to Alabama. Can you tell me about that? Like, how does one decide between Harvard and Alabama?
When I grew up, my mom was always big on academics, and I used to always joke around that I was going to Harvard as a kid. So I was a big academic kid growing up, and just when they gave me an offer to go to Harvard, it was a tough one not to go. But football is my first love, and with Alabama having a good business program as well as football program, it just felt like a home away from home.
Dave Campbell.
Dalvin, piggybacking off of that, what is a good way or two that your work in school has paid off for you on the field?
I would have to say that football, pretty much in NFL, is like another class. You're taking college or things like that, because you have to continue to learn on the field as well as off the field when you're watching film and things like that. You have to break down film, and just like pretty much an extra class like you took in college. It's like a business course. You have to do extra work to improve on it, and it's very mental. A lot of mental work goes into the aspect of playing in the NFL.
Eric Smith.
Hey, Dalvin, welcome to the team. I'm just wondering how much Andre Patterson played a role in you coming to the team and kind of what you know about his reputation here in Minnesota.
Oh yeah, Coach Patterson is a great defensive line coach. I remember him talking to me when I was actually at the combine. It was felt like yesterday, but it was 4 years ago. And yeah, he's just a great, tremendous coach. You could just tell off from his track record of the defensive lineman he's had. And I'm super excited to play for him and can't wait to put these pads on and get out there and let him coach me up a little bit.
Sam Ekstrom.
Hey, Dalvin, I know you overcame some injuries earlier in your high school and college career. How have you been able to stay so durable in the NFL?
Pretty much when I had tore my ACLs in high school and college, it's pretty much you learn a lot more about your body and what works for you in the recovery process. And just in the NFL, you have to take care of your body. You got to invest in your body and know what works for you to make you feel better for the next day to go out there on the field.
Courtney Cronin.
Hey, Dalvin, you were in a 3-4 defensive scheme in New York, and having played in, with a bunch of different fronts, was that obviously you're playing in a 4-3 now, so how does that project for you? I mean, was that something that was a priority to try to find a 3-4? Were you comfortable kind of playing in whatever, however many down front you were going to be approached with?
I'm pretty comfortable playing at any down front because I remember my first year at New York, it was more of a 4-3. And when I was with Jason Pierre-Paul, Olivier Vernon, and Snack Harrison. And pretty much it was all the similar defense to what Minnesota's running right now. And the last couple of years have been 3-4, so I'm pretty comfortable in any scheme as long as I get to put my hand in the dirt and play some football. I'm happy.
Chris Thomason.
Yeah, hey, Dalvin, welcome to Minnesota. Have they told you that you're pretty much going to be the three technique guy? And how much have you played there? And just talk about your ability at that particular position to both stop the run. And also Rick Spielman said you're underrated in terms of playing the pass game.
Thank you. We really haven't sat down and talked about exactly which position I'm going to play, but all I could assume is I'm going to play a little bit of three tech and shade because they go hand in hand together. And I feel like I'm pretty stout at the run game, and I can bring a good element of the run game to the Minnesota Vikings, as well as pass rush to get after the quarterback and collapse the pocket. Like Mr. Spielman said, I want to get to the quarterback as well as play the run also. So it's going to be very exciting.
Don Mitchell.
Hi, Dalvin. This is kind of a jump off as to Chris's question. When you're like the second most when it comes to the run stuff rate in the NFL, you really have earned your bread and butter there and underrated against the pass. What do you take pride in the most in your game that maybe you feel other people may undervalue that you value the highest?
I just feel like my game as a whole, like you said, I'm pretty known for stuff in the run, and also want to be known as an all-around defensive lineman who could also rush the passer and play the run. So I'll just say just my game in general. I just want to continue to improve in the run as well as the pass, just so I could be more dominant up front.
Mark Craig.
Hey, Dalvin, just watched some guy pin someone in 9 seconds in a state wrestling championship match. Describe that match and also describe how your excellence as a wrestler has transferred into all the things Rick was talking about and other guys have talked about, like Carl Banks, your hand, your feet, your movements.
That match, like you said, it was pretty quick. 9 seconds was my last state finals match in my senior year of high school. And also wrestling does a tremendous part of playing defensive line because the leverage you learn in wrestling and also just learn how to use someone's body against their will is a big part of wrestling. It comes hand in hand in playing defensive line when you're going against the offensive lineman trying to make plays and throw them out of your gaps and set edges and things of that nature.
Lindsey Young.
Hi, Dalvin. Welcome to Minnesota. I was going to actually ask about wrestling as well, but Mark grabbed that question. So I have something else to ask you, though. So I appreciate how Rick highlighted your work in the community as well. And you clearly have a passion for giving back and getting involved in different ways. I know a lot of players in the Vikings locker room feel the same. I'm just wondering kind of where that comes from for you, or why that has been a priority for you in your NFL career.
It's always been a priority just because the way my mom raised me, it was always to give back when you can, and also just the organizations I help with, like Good Grief, Kate's Club, American Cancer Society, and things like those organizations just mean a lot to me, and I just want to give back as much as I can to help people that may be going through the grieving process, like with Good Grief and Kate's Club, or people who are fighting cancer with the American Cancer Society may just need someone to help them put a smile on their face to give them the extra boost they need to beat cancer. And just to give back when you can, because you never know how many blessings you can give by just smiling at someone.
Hey, Dalvin, how much does the prospect of playing next to Michael Pierce and having that much size up front, how much did that appeal to you? How much did you know about him before you ended up signing with the Vikings? And also, I mean, you're going to have Danielle Hunter at edge too. Having a group like that, how much damage do you think you guys can do in repairing this pass rush?
I'm super excited to play next to those guys. Michael Pierce actually went to high school with some of my ex-Alabama teammates and stuff like that. So I'm super excited to get to play beside him. I talked to him earlier, and we're both just excited to play next to each other. There's going to be some good energy up front. And I'm just super excited to get back in the building with those guys so we can all get to work, learn each other's chemistry, and just build from there to get more effective in the pass rush as well as the run game.
Chris Thomason?
Yeah, hey there. What'd you think of seeing last night the Vikings agreeing to terms with Patrick Peterson, and what do you think he can add to this defense?
I think that was amazing. Patrick Peterson can also help the younger guys at cornerback and defensive back with the veteran knowledge he has as well as his play. And I feel like he brings a lot to the table to help out the defensive backs and the defense as a whole.
Mark Craig?
Yeah, Dalvin, I read where you grew up on Tomlinson Street. It was named after your grandfather. I was curious, what did he do to get a street named after him?
Tomlinson Street, pretty much they used to own the land that my high school was built on. So back in the day, way before I was born, they sold part of the land they owned to the Board of Education. They built Henry County High School, the high school I went to on it. And just my family's back home, just known across the community of just helping people and just being there. It's just like I said earlier, it's an old school family and a huge family. And they're all back home in Georgia.
Don Mitchell?
Dalvin, it's always curious to hear when you're on the other side, when you're in New York, what people thought of the Vikings defense. And now you're coming to a defense where Mike Zimmer's a head coach. We know he's a defensive guy. You have Andre Patterson. We touched on that. What are your thoughts as a player that you're coming to a team that loves defense? And what were your thoughts when you faced them?
When we faced them, I knew that they had weapons across the board on defense and offense as well. And just being here now, I'm super excited simply because I get to play with some of those weapons they had. And just like from the outside coming in, like I'm just like all I can really say is I'm excited. Like I don't know how to put it into words right now.
Courtney?
Dalvin, like Rick had said, sack numbers, big stats like that aren't everything. Don't tell the full story about defensive linemen. For you, what's the biggest part of your game that you think allows you to affect the quarterback at the highest rate?
I would have to say collapsing the pocket. It's not really a stat for collapsing the pocket or getting pressure up front on a quarterback, or even like you have an offensive lineman in the QB's lap about to step on his feet, or he hit his hand on his helmet and things like that. That's not something you can really track with stats. So things like that in that nature, just to get the quarterback uncomfortable in the pocket, or just affecting the running backs and quarterbacks throughout the game. I feel like those are very important, but they can't be tracked.
Matthew?
Hey, Delvin. There's a natural connection here with Minnesota. Linval Joseph playing for the Giants and then, coming to Minnesota. I wonder if he's a guy that you are familiar with or that if you had studied his game because he meant a lot to this defense.
Yeah, Linval Joseph is one of the guys you pretty much have to look at if you want to be a good defensive lineman because his play is just going from New York coming here when he became a Viking, like that's the way he played and approached the game was amazing, and he was so dominant up front. And I've watched Linval's film plenty of times just since I got into the league. He's a great player, great guy, and just great.
Ari?
Hi. You mentioned that there's not a great way to track pressure stats. One company that does attempt to do that is Pro Football Focus. I'm sure a lot of people have talked around to you about them. They've indicated that your pressure rate has increased pretty substantially this last year over your previous 3 years in New York. Is there anything about how the defense changed or how you've approached the game that has made that possible?
Just surrounded with great guys, and as a defensive lineman, you feed off of the guys you play around with, like you play with up front, and just you have to make it a focus. Want to get after the quarterback more and just rush more aggressively and things of that nature. So when you're surrounded with great teammates and who's also motivating you to get better as well as pushing themselves to get better, only thing you can do is improve on the field.
Lindsay?
Yeah, Delvin, I know that you and Irv Smith, I believe, only overlapped 1 year at Alabama, but I'm just wondering if the two of you have any sort of connection or relationship coming here, and if so, what it's like to be reunited with a former teammate.
Oh, yeah, I love Irv Smith. That's my guy. We had a great year at Alabama together, and we kept in contact since then, too. And I'm super excited to play with him and just to go against him a few times in practice and stuff like that.
Have you ever been on a team with another Dalvin like you're going to be here?
I think this is the first time ever.
Are you guys going to have to going to go like Dalvin 1, Dalvin 2? Are you going to go by Tomlinson? Have you thought about how you might play that out?
I think it's going to be a lot of times somebody say Dalvin and we're both going to look. So I don't think we talked about it yet, but it's going to work out, I feel like.
Darren?
Dalvin, you've played on 4 losing teams. The most wins you've been a part of is 6 wins. Just how much are you itching to play in a winning team and eventually play in a playoff game?
I feel like every player wants to play on a winning team, and the playoffs is like one of the ultimate goals of each season. You go into the season to start off, so I'm super excited to come to the organization just to help out to get some wins and get to the playoffs, and ultimately, we want to get a Super Bowl down the road, but we have to take care of the process and go through each step first.
Mark?
Yeah, Dalvin, I was wondering what other options did you have in free agency, and what was it about the Vikings specifically that may have won out over the next closest team?
I would have to say that Minnesota just felt like it was a good fit for me with the coaching staff and the players also, and just I don't know, I like Minnesota. I like the Vikings. I felt like it was just a perfect fit for me, and just going through free agency, I was just taking it one moment at a time and just weighing my options and things. And I just felt like Minnesota was a great fit for me.
Who were some of the other options?
It was quite a few teams across the league, but I would have to just say that Minnesota was just the option for me.
Eric?
Yeah, Dalvin, going back to Dalvin 1 and Dalvin 2, how much do you know about the Dalvin that's already been here, and how much are you looking forward to not having to face him in a game?
I know a lot about Dalvin simply because I had to play against him in a game, and he's one of those freak of nature running backs because he's super talented across the board. And I'm super excited not having to play him in a game because I know how much talent he has and how hard it is to get to tackling him, especially from defensive tackle, trying to get to him because he has such crazy amount of speed and quickness. And he's a great player, a great athlete.
Any other questions for Dalvin? Courtney?
Hey, Dalvin, the last time this team signed a big, outside of Michael Pierce, but last time they had like a marquee 3 technique that they brought in with Sheldon Richardson a couple years ago. And he was somebody who played about 70% of snaps. And I was just kind of going through the snap counts of what you had the last couple years playing nose in New York. Obviously, you don't know the intricacies of what your role is going to be particularly next year yet, but how do you approach it this offseason of potentially needing to play more time and maybe with your conditioning, things like that? How will you go about that the next couple months to be prepared if you end up playing that same amount?
Just as I would take it any other offseason, make sure I show up to OTAs and training camp in shape. Make sure I'm physically feeling great and I'm strong, in shape, and just ready to go. And if I need to prepare to play even more snaps, I'll make sure I do my treatment like I normally would, cold tub, cryo chamber, things like that, to make sure my legs are right and not heavy and things like that. Just small things make the biggest difference when it comes to staying healthy and staying ready for the whole season.